Hello grade 6, so this time I'll be discussing about Waltz by Brahms, and I'm going to play sections A through D first, and have a good listen and try to observe how I play the bowings and also the tempo. Alright? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So that was section A to D. Now, just a few things to take note. From the beginning, on section A, third measure, you have there 3/4 notes with 2 small notes. Okay, those small notes are actually called grace notes. Grace notes are hindi siya counted or hindi part sa bilang ng number of beats per measure, but it's like a quick turn of notes before you get to the next one. So from here, on the third measure of section A, it starts off with finger 2, that's C natural. And then, ang small notes is D and then C ulit bago siya mag B. So it's actually more of like, sounds something like this. So that was the third measure of A. I'm going to play that one more. Okay, so make sure that you play that turn of notes, the D and the C, quickly before turning to B. And then the bowings there would be down and then the grace notes and then up on the B na and then up again on A. Now notice there's also staccato. It's not really staccato, it's more of like a combination of staccato and dash, meaning you separate those bows. So it's more like you divide the bow again, like we did in the past lessons, before going to section B. So I'm going to play third measure of A again. It sounds something like this. Then B. Okay? So take note of those parts where you do double ups or 2 up bows, meaning you have to divide your bow into 2 for those up. So it's up, up, and then actually the pattern here is really easy. It's all down, ahap, down, ahap, dahon, up, down, ahap, down, okay? So for you to be able to really understand that, let's try to do this. I'm going to say the bowings, and then I'm going to say the bowings and play the notes. So it starts off with B natural on section A. It goes down, down, ahap, down, down, ahap, down, up, down, down, ahap, down, down, ahap, down, down, ahap, down, up, down. Okay? Now, on that last measure of B, that measure before C, bago mag C, you notice that there's an 8th note. There's an 8th note, and then dalawang quarter. So it goes tia, tam, tam. One more time. Measure before C, it goes tia, tam, tam. Now, notice that the rhythm for the beginning, example, first bar of A, is dotted quarter note, tapos may tatlong 8 notes. What does that mean? Now, that dotted quarter note, you just play it a little longer, and then ikakabit nyo yung first 8 note. It's the same bowing as that first note, and then up bow on those last 2 8 notes. So, that's why ang bowing natin is so the first 2 measures are the same. Alright? So those are things that you should be aware of and be careful of. So just take note of those stuff and do this very slowly, practice it slowly. I'm going to try to play it again. You can play along if you like. I'm going to play it a little bit slower. And then make sure that you plan your bow. Make sure hindi kayo nauubusan ng bow when you do the down bow. So save some bow, and then when you go up bow, it's full bows, big bows, okay? So this one again is sections A to D of Waltz by Brahms. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and. So there you have it. And of course, one last thing before we end, notice that there's, on the beginning, in the section A, there's 1 and then a huge or a long line. That means finger 1 should be pressing on the string the entire time of section A, except when you play that A open string right before D. Okay? That also goes the same for section B. That goes all the way right before section C, but you change your fingerings already on before you play section C. That's D and C sharp. Okay? So please be careful also of your C sharp and C natural. Once again, reminding you, C sharp is malayo from the first finger. C natural is magkadikit sa first finger. Alright, so that's all. Practice slowly and you'll get this right eventually. Happy practicing.